of my Math 3 students, we have spent a lot of class time developing what I call a formula fact sheet. To the left here is what we've done for Unit 2 and 3 so far. We will continue to fill out this formula fact sheet with the rest of our units throughout the semester. But today I'm going to show you my strategy for how to prepare to implement your formula fact sheet on test day, whether it's in less than 3 minutes for one of our unit tests, or perhaps under 5 or 7 minutes for a longer test, such as the end of course exam. This practice is what Miss Ruby calls a brain dump, and here's how we prepare for that. First, we are going to select our content from our master formula fact sheet. Next, we will break it down into memorable pieces. And then finally, I am going to practice this brain dump, and hopefully you will as well. And you can laugh at how bad mine is because I'm still not used to the software yet. So 3 is going to be practicing brain dump. Let's select our content. I can't fit all of this onto a sheet of paper in less than 3 minutes. That's impossible. So what I'm going to do is pick the pieces that I think I will need but might have trouble remembering partway through the test. I'm also going to think about how I can reduce what is written on our master formula fact sheet into something more manageable. So our upcoming test is going to be on Unit 3, but I know I need a little bit of content from Unit 2. We keep talking about transformations. Let's pick that. Specifically, what students often have trouble with is the left and right part, because that's our in parentheses, not intuitive. What else from Unit 2? We're going to want our inverse operations, particularly for solving for x in our exponential equations. We will have to work backwards to find x. We will have to take the inverse operations. So I'm going to pick the ones that, again, I am less likely to remember or might get confused. Students often get these confused. We're going to pick that. So I'm going to call this section inverses. I'm going to call my first section transformations. So for Unit 2, I've got one transformation item. My second is inverses. Next, under Unit 3, the most important part, I think I'll remember exponential functions increase the fastest. I'm going to pick out the exponent and log rules I am most likely to forget. So I'll call this section rules, and I'm going to pick this one and this one. Next, fitting an exponential equation to a table of xy values in Desmos. Definitely want to remember this notation. So I'm going to circle this, and I'm going to actually represent this as a figure, maybe less complicated, so I have a hope of being able to recreate it later. something like that. So when I think about my table, I'm going to call this section table, but I'm going to draw it as a table, and I'm going to include this syntax. All right, so that's 1, 2. I'm also going to want some of my exponential equations. We'll pick compound interest and double half-time. Probably just pick one of these. And lastly, let's pick one of these mantras because the inverse is also true. I can remember that part, but I definitely want one of these on there. So we're going to call that section mantra. We're going to call this section equations. And this is my table. And we've got our rules. So I've already done this part 2. I selected my content and I've broken it down into pieces. For Unit 2, I've got 2 pieces, transformations, inverses. For Unit 3, I have 4 pieces, 2 rules, my table conversion, 2 equations, and my mantra. So equations, 2, rules, 2. So when I go to recreate this, I'm going to think about the pieces that I broke down and how many items I have in each piece. For Unit 2, I've got 2 items. Transformations, there are 2. Inverse operations, there are 2. For Unit 3, I've got 4 items. 2 rules, my table conversion, 2 equations, my mantra. I think I can remember that. Let's see how well I can time it. I'm going to do a practice brain dump now. For Unit 2, I've got transformations, inverses. For 3, I've got my rules, 1, 2. I've got my table of x, y to convert. Equations, mantra. Transformations, f, x plus c goes left, minus c goes right. Inverses, exponents, logs are inverses. My second one, x squared, square root x. Rules, x to the a plus b, 2 equals x, equals x to the a, x to the b. And then over here, what was my second one? Logs, log rule. Log goes in front. Don't quite remember that. For this one, y base 1 approximated a, b, x to the 1. Equations, compound interest. And what was my second one? What was my second one? Double halftime. The thing I need to remember about that one is t over big T. The thing I need to remember about compound interest, 1 plus r over n to the n t power. That's the part I would forget. Mantra. Base of exponent becomes base of log 20 more seconds. Base of exponent, p to x equals y, becomes base of my log. Y comes over here, x comes over here. Whoop. I will call that good enough. There's a 4th piece I forgot to mention, and that is reviewing how well you did on your brain dump. So let's review how well Doc did on their brain dump. I'm going to tile what I had set out to do on the right and what I actually did here on the left. For transformations, I didn't finish writing everything, but as long as you understand what it is that you did, I think that's fine. Inverses looks fine. under Unit 3, my rules, I definitely messed up on my second one. I remembered the concept. Did I get it written down all the way? No one would understand that. So that's something I would focus on getting better at in my practice. My table looks good. I didn't include the complete equation for compound interest. We should have had our A naught there. And for doubling time, let's see, we should have a different color. A naught. We needed A naught there. And for doubling half time, I didn't have enough time to write all of it, but I got the most important part. And that's, I feel like, is fine. What we want to check for is that we didn't make any mistakes in writing down our equation, mistakes that we don't want to keep practicing doing something wrong, because your brain works like a muscle as well. We don't want to develop bad muscle memory and remember an equation the wrong way, because that will mess us up on our test. Um, and lastly, my mantra, yes, it looks like I did confuse if we're going by the original, what was written down originally. I did switch X and Y, but it doesn't matter what X and Y are in this case, because the way it was applied was in fact correct, because we could substitute X and Y for anything in these cases. So overall, it's written very ugly. The important pieces are there, and I know what to work on for next time. Good luck with your formula fact sheets, and thanks for tuning in.